The best strikers in the business are back as Perth chase the one that keeps getting away. But the Sharks are sharp, hungry for consecutive titles. The 2003 National Soccer League Grand Final. Perth Glory versus the Olympicsharks. Yes, here we are again for the third time in 4 years. The NSL Championship decider comes to Subiaco Oval. 40,000 at Subi, a full house. Will it be third time lucky for the Perth Glory or two in a row for the Olympicsharks? The two teams could not be any more evenly matched. 2 victories apiece in their 4 meetings this season. Hello everybody and welcome to Subiaco Oval around the 7 network and of course through New Zealand on Sky Channel for a grand final replay in the true sense of the phrase. Same venue last year, same 2 teams. It was the Olympicsharks by a margin of 1-0. Huge atmosphere. The Glory have put on yet another outstanding pre-game show. And as we welcome Socceroos coach Frank Farina, you know all about these big soccer venues and big soccer occasions. Must have your blood pumping as well.
Yeah, Basil, look, it's a fantastic atmosphere again. Perth have done it really well. 43,000 again. Should be a great game.
What about Perth, Frank? All the pressure on them. Obviously, they haven't won a title yet, and this big crowd, they want it today.
Well, that's right. It's Perth, as you said earlier, third time lucky. All the pressure's on them. But people tend to forget that there's 2 teams in this game.
There certainly is. Now, some players to watch and some very important ones. None more so than Bobby Despotovski. 19 goals in the season and 12 of them in the finals.
Yeah, he's a vital player for Perth Glory. He has been for the last 6 years or so. He's a proven goal scorer, as we've all seen. Him and Mori will be key elements for them today if they're going to win. But look, I think we saw last year Bobby had a quiet game by his own standards and didn't do so well. So let's hope this year he'll do better.
What about this young man, David Tarka, the football world at his feet?
Yeah, he's one of the young guns up and coming. He's a wonderful player. He's involved with the under-20s as well as the under-23s. And as you say, the footballing world lies at his feet. And I think that he, will be expecting to play an important part.
Here's Bobby Despotovski leading the Perth Glory out, the Olympicsharks right alongside them. What's going through the captain's mind right now on a big occasion like this?
I think excitement more than anything. It's a huge day. This is what they all play for all the time, so they'll be looking forward to it.
Obviously some important players to look for as well for the Olympicsharks. Ante Miličić, he scored this time last year.
Yeah, look, a wonderful goal, worthy to win a grand final. Olympic paid $100,000 for Ante Miličić a couple of years ago, and it's money well spent. I think he's paid it back with interest, but he'll be a key element as well in the game, and he'll be hoping for another goal like that last year.
And what about Ante Juric? He's their captain, their rock, and sometimes their inspiration.
He definitely is. He's the leader on the park. Without him, they would struggle. We saw him last year play with a broken elbow, I think. But if he can get them going and keep them organised at the back, it's going to be very, very hard to break them down.
Well, as we take a look at the Glory lineup, obviously lots of interest. A couple of players under injury clouds. One of them, Jamie Harnwell, and of course we can't forget Damian Mori, the all-time league's leading goal scorer.
Yeah, I was talking to Mich before. He's looking for a big one from Damian. Damian hasn't scored much in grand finals, but they're all hoping that he'll rise to the occasion today. But it's a pretty much the lineup we thought that they'd come out with.
Mich, hasn't he done such a great job since taking over? 41 wins from his 60 games, and you spoke to him just before kick-off.
And in the game itself, obviously there's got to be game breakers. We've got the likes of Mori and Despotovski. Where do you see the game being won, and who do you think needs to play to their best to win it for you?
Well, I think our 2 big hitters up front, that's Damian Mori and Bobby Despotovski. I think all last season when they were on form and they were on song scoring goals, we won games. They were a bit quiet in last year's grand final, so I'm hoping today they're going to be on firing all cylinders.
For the Olympicsharks, they come in as the reigning champions, but of course not so much pressure on them, and 2 players under injury clouds, Paul Kohler and Troy Halpin. Both of those boys have been named.
Yeah, they've come into the game with not a lot of pressure on them, and everyone's expecting Perth to do well, but yeah, they've come in with a couple of players under injury clouds, not only Halpin, but the Japanese boy Ishida. I think it's too many players to be taken into a game injured, but as Lee Sterry said, if a player tells you he's fit, you've got to go with the player.
I guess he's thinking along the lines they've got nothing to lose. Interesting story for Lee Sterry. Didn't take over until round 23 when Gary Phillips was sacked, and of course Frank Farina spoke to him just moments ago as well.
There's a lot of talk about the midfield battle between the likes of Gumprecht and Colosimo, and the likes of Srhoj for Olympic. Do you think that's where the game's going to be won or lost, or is there other facets as well?
Oh, there's other facets, but yeah, look, certainly I think whoever wins a midfield in most big games wins the game. So, you know, and it's very blowy and windy here, so hopefully, you know, our football, we keep it on the floor, and our mobility, we should be okay.
So not far away from a very big occasion. 44 times he played for the Socceroos. Robbie Dunn, I know he was alongside you when you went to the Seoul Olympics, and he's down there monitoring the pitch. Let's have a look.
Well, the sun's stayed here, the rain stayed away, but unfortunately the wind down here is like a cyclone at times. The pitch is very springy, so it's going to suit the ball players out there. And this ground, it's a buzz with the fans, hopefully, to see Perth's first grand final win.
In history's page, let every stage advance so straight. Joyful strains in sing, advance Australia fair. In joyful strains and bid us sing, advance Australia fair.
A great moment at any sporting event, the national anthem. A full house here at Subiaco Oval. The NSL Grand Final coming up. The Perth Glory and the Olympicsharks don't go away. Kick-off just moments away. The two captains shaking hands, and the toss of the coin. Birmingham City's Perth-born international Socceroos star Stan Lazaridis with the toss of the coin. It's come up Bobby's way. Bobby contemplates and decides that it will be towards the city end of the ground here at Subiaco Oval, the left of screen, for the Glory to be taking strike up first. Our expert's taken his spot, Frank Farina, Socceroos coach, and sitting alongside him, match commentator David Smith. David, a very good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Basil, and indeed everybody else. Welcome to the grand final. Blustery conditions, plenty of atmosphere in the stadium, and expectations very high indeed. Mark Shield is the referee today, just 29 years of age. He was the man that Australia sent to the World Cup finals, and he was in charge of the game between Belgium and Tunisia. A highlight for him. Will this be a highlight for Perth Glory? They've waited for the chance to win the grand final. They've had two previous attempts. They've failed on two previous attempts. Frank Farina, are they going to do it this time?
Well, I think all Perth Glory fans around the country, and especially here in Perth, will be hoping for that, because they say third time lucky, but I don't know if anyone's told Olympicsharks about that, because they'll be looking to go back-to-back as well.
And the Sharks also looking for their third ever NSL title, and they've got the players on the field to do it, although a couple of them supposedly under injury clouds. Halpin, certainly one of those, and indeed Kohler as well, who limped out of training the other day, but apparently fit enough to play. Juric, the captain of the Sharks team, loses the ball to Despotovski. Here's Gumprecht, who's made such a difference to the Perth Glory team this season. The ball in from Pryce, but it's too long, and a first comfortable touch for Clint Bolton. Certainly one of the two best goalkeepers in the NSL this season. The other one is at the other end of the field. Ishida laying the ball back. Here's Halpin. Certainly seems fit enough at the moment. Hasn't trained for the last couple of days, but he's not the most mobile of players at the best of times. He does all his work with the way that he controls the ball and sets play in motion. The Glory fans certainly doing their bit, getting behind the team. Here is Halpin. Another quick layoff. Packer trying to send the ball forward. Is cut out by Tarka, a player who's rated very highly by Frank Farina.
Yeah, look, it started as we would all expect. I think Perth will keep dropping off as they have done it in the first opening minutes here, but the big interesting thing will be the midfield battle up for me.
Gumprecht on the ball for the Glory. Likes to take on players and does so. It will come out to Horsley. First time ball in. Slightly overhit, and that'll be a goal kick to the Sharks, who had a rather indifferent finals series. They lost 5 of their 10 games, only squeaked in at the 11th hour by beating Parramatta, having gone a goal down in that game. That's Alan Vest, the assistant coach of Perth Glory, and he was talking about the atmosphere last season, saying how flat it was and really demanding that the fans this time come out and cheer for the team. Well, they're certainly doing that.
I think you looked at it before, Dave. We were talking about where the battle's going to be won, and we just saw a glimpse of it there. Gumprecht making that run forward. that's going to be a difference. If they can get him to be doing that regularly, I think that's one way they can get on top of this.
First really rough challenge going in there from Packer, which ends up with a free kick and hands being shaken all around. Matt Horsley has had a tremendous season. It's taken quickly. Harnwell just laying the ball off to Pryce. Those two likely to be off in the summer, going off to other parts of the world. Pryce going off to Singapore and Harnwell doing his bit to try and get himself a contract in European football.
They've been talking about Perth Glory possibly breaking up at the end of this season, so that does spell danger for the Glory, but you know, hopefully they will be able to go out on a big note.
Clint Bolton kept just one clean sheet in the final series, a sign of a team that had been leaking goals. This ball is helped on by Pondeljak, who will get forward and to support the likes of Miličić and Harris. We've also got the likes of Porter as well, and Ishida, who likes to take on plays. Did very well against the Glory earlier in the season. Gave Miller a bit of a roasting. Here's North, the player that played for Frank Farina at Brisbane.
Yeah, a number of young players. Andrew Packer was another one. Wayne Srhoj was on the bench. Jeromy Harris. So there's a bit of a Brisbane taste about this team as well.
Tarka put the ball back to his goalkeeper Petkovic. Didn't have too much time to get the ball away from Harris. Gumprecht's header forward. Easily cut out by Kohler. Doesn't seem to be suffering any after effects of the injury at the moment, as you can see by that challenge on Damian Mori. It's taken very quickly. Gumprecht now. Horsley with a quick touch, looking for Mori. Halpin, who likes to control the midfield area. Forward by Packer. Headed back by Jamie Harnwell. It will take time for both of these teams to get into their stride. Whoever settles first, of course, will have the advantage, and whoever scores first will have a huge advantage. Looking at the stats, the Glory don't tend to give leads away, and if they do, they seem to come back and they win a very high percentage of games, 78% of games in which they score first. Here's Gumprecht. Here's Colosimo now, driving forward. Hasn't scored yet for the Glory. What a time it would have been to have done it. Harnwell rises. He's playing with an injury which required an injection this morning. As the ball comes to Mori. Gets it away from Kohler. Horsley gets into a bit of a muddle, but still somehow extracts himself. Despotovski now for the Glory. Horsley continues his run. They appear to have been brought down by North. The referee says play on. Colosimo spreading it. In fact, the ball was really intended for a player further than Gumprecht in Pryce, who made a good run down the wing. But Gumprecht wasn't to know that.
This is where the Glory will be looking dangerous, Dave. Whenever one of the midfield players is making those runs forward, that's what's going to cause Olympic problems in the defence, because they just keep continually backing off.
That's really the challenge of the game, I think. Colosimo and Halpin clashing together. Whoever wins that particular battle, I think, will go a long way to deciding this particular final. Another free kick. This time went inside the half, and a word from Mark Shield, who's going to clamp down early. Having a word with Harnwell, and just gives him a bit of a caution without showing him the yellow card.
This has got to be expected, but I mean, early stages of the game, you're going to see some heavy challenges in there. Harnwell went in hard, and you know, I think that's going to be the order of the day for at least for the next 15 minutes. There's no quarter going to be given.
We'll see once again the challenge coming in on Miličić. Well, that's a difference from last year, where Juric had an injury which the Glory players didn't even challenge him on throughout the whole of last year's game, as the ball is sent in towards Harris, but a bit too far. And a comfortable touch this time for Jason Petkovic, now 30 years of age, but still talking about the possibility of going over to Europe and playing some football there. And certainly for goalkeepers, age is no real barrier. Just coming into his prime form. Hard challenge from Miller. Few hard challenges going in. There are two Sharks players on the ground as Halpin sends the ball forward, and eventually is played out by Miličić, because there are two players who do require treatment. One of them is Ishida, who's carrying a bit of a knock coming into this game anyway.
A couple of very heavy challenges there, and you've got two Olympic bodies on the ground. You can see that Perth are really into this game at the moment. They're going in hard for every challenge, and look, that's grand final football, and you expect nothing less.
Well, it shows that Perth Glory have arrived for this game, which last season at times you wondered. Injury that he already had coming into this game, only trained a couple of days before the final, and has gone off indeed for more treatment as the game gets underway, and Tarka sends the ball downfield just so that the Sharks have possession again, because they were in possession when the free kick was awarded. Juric out to the wing. Miličić coming short. Does a nice turn to get away from Colosimo and sends the ball out to Ishida, who's recovered and back on the field. Ishida trying to take on Miller. This is what he did earlier in the season to really good effect as Halpin sends it across. Deludes one. Doesn't delude Horsley, who sends it down to Despotovski. Mori's making a run forward, and that's a bit ambitious by Despotovski, although Horsley does his best to get there. Cut out by Porter, who's predominantly a left-sided player. Likes to play up front mainly, although being forced to play in a slightly more withdrawn role in this game.
Well, that run by Matty Horsley, if he continues to do that, you're going to find Porter will be dragged all the way back in, and Pryce will have an acre of space to come forward in.
Pondeljak's made the run forward for the Sharks. Again, distribution not quite there at the moment. Nice sunny skies at the moment. There was rain earlier in the day, quite torrential overnight. Strong blustery wind, which at the moment is favouring the Glory, as Pryce has possession of the ball now to Colosimo, who came back to Australian football after a spell in Europe, playing in Manchester City and then went into Belgian football for a while. Didn't particularly like it over there, so came back.
Yeah, and what a comeback. He's been at Perth now for, I think, the last 6 months or so, or this season, and he's been phenomenal. I think he's been one of the major contributing factors for Perth, how strong they've been, especially in the final series.
A Socceroo international, 13 A caps and 2 goals for his country. Quite a few internationals on the Sharks team as well. Ishida, lovely touch, gets past his man, and it needed Tarka's clearance, sending the ball downfield, and the chase is on. Despotovski leading it. He was hoping to find Mori. In the end, the ball quite comfortable for Bolton to collect. Ten minutes gone, no score as yet as Halpin takes possession for the Sharks. Porter with the layoff, intercepted by Harnwell. Space very hard to find out there at the moment. Despotovski at the third attempt now, comes in. It's Hassell out to the wing now. Mori awaits in the centre as Gumprecht takes over. The German tries to lay in a low ball to Mori, which doesn't find its way to him. Good defending work by the Sharks as Gumprecht has a second opportunity. He's caught though in possession. There's no time to think at the moment. Colosimo out of the wing. And that's a symptom of the way the game is being played at the moment. Perth Glory won the last 2 meetings between these sides, but previous to that it had been the Sharks who really had the Indian sign over them, especially in the grand final last year. And of course, on the last day of the regular season, the Sharks snipped in to win the Premier's title when Glory seemed to have it all, but just the winning of it on the final day of the season. Just needed a draw at Marconi, and they lost that game. The Sharks at the 11th hour came in to win the Premier's title as North goes forward and is stopped by Colosimo. Lovely turn out of trouble, and then reasonable distribution as well to set up Horsley. Pryce also making a run down the wing as Horsley looks to cut inside. Tries to find Despotovski. It's not quite there at the moment. The game played at 100 miles an hour. Matt Horsley, who is now playing in his 4th successive grand final, having won 2 for Wollongong, and then of course the failure here last year with Perth Glory. Miličić is all by himself. He'll have to wait. Porter's coming to help him out. Or run all the way through to Petkovic. Actually, that was a lovely run forward by Packer. That's one of the things about the Sharks, though. They are a very mobile team. Players get into areas you just don't want them to be if you're a defending team. Despotovski laying the ball back to Pryce. Miller with plenty of space ahead of him, and he loves to get forward. Had to adapt to a slightly different role in the last couple of seasons. Used to play as a wing-back, now as an out-and-out left-back. He was telling me earlier in the season how he's had to concentrate his brain on the defensive side of the job more. Hassell inside to Harnwell. Now Pryce. Glory trying a more measured approach. Gumprecht takes over. Well, the dummy was a nice idea. Despotovski had just moved out of position.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. We can see Perth are doing quite well with the two wide midfielders are pushing right up, which is forcing the wing-backs for Olympicsharks to drop deep as well. And as I said earlier, the left and right back for Perth now have a lot of space to push forward in, which is, you know, creating problems for Olympic.
Bolton launching it forward. Harris is underneath it. Looking for Ishida. Miller clatters him. Sends the ball downfield. Glory ball right on the halfway line. Despotovski has been in quite phenomenal form. Just 7 goals in the regular season, but really hit true form in the finals. 12 goals in just 10 games. Pondeljak. Forced backwards. Eventually it's out onto the wing once more. Play spread by the Sharks, but that should be comfortable for Miller. Back to Petkovic. Miller, who's playing his 200th game for Perth Glory today. Jason Petkovic has actually lost 3 grand finals, because he also lost with Adelaide in '95. Mori. Got Kohler as a constant shadow on him, and that's the same as last year.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, Kohler did a wonderful job last year on Damian Mori, and it seems to be that's the matchup again. And Jade North is picking up Bobby Despotovski, and if they can keep them quiet, which they did last year, they're going to be in with a real chance to win this.
Have Glory learned from that? As Colosimo wins the ball back in midfield for the Glory. Hassell's making a good run forward. Horsley looks up at the options. Here's Hassell. Now Despotovski looking to turn and shoot. Tries to set up Colosimo. Too many Sharks defenders back as Harris takes over. Stopped by Hassell, but only temporarily as the Sharks come forward again. Juric venturing into midfield, a place where he's quite comfortable with, having played there for Australia.
Perth just want to make sure that they don't get frustrated, David. I mean, they've started quite well, even though things aren't happening for them. Haven't had many strikes on goal. They've just got to try and maintain what they've begun and not get too frustrated.
Last touch came off Miller. Another throw to the Sharks. Ishida looking for some movement. Glory ball this time though. Miličić got the last touch on it. Lee Sterry has been playing some wonderful mind games with the Glory during the week, basically saying that his team had no chance, saying how good the Glory were. All the pressure was on them because they were such overwhelming favourites. I don't think it really was something that the Glory took on board. Mich said, look, we're going to be called chokers until we actually win one of these finals.
Yeah, Lee's renowned for that. He likes to play those games, and I'm sure Mich wasn't buying into it.
Harris using the old shoulder. It was a free kick to the Glory after Tarka was bundled over with an old-fashioned shoulder charge from Harris. No real damage done to Tarka, who's a big, strong boy. Rumours of him perhaps having another trial at West Ham during the off-season. Though West Ham have just been relegated, it might not seem so attractive as the Sharks come forward again. Halpin made a good venture forward as Pondeljak takes over. Looking up at the options, and there's one over on the far side. Porter was waiting there, didn't quite reach him. Horsley now. I think Sharks have begun to settle into this game.
No, I agree, they've settled, and once they start settling and those boys start making the runs forward, especially the likes of Pondeljak and Porter, that's when they look really dangerous.
They're capable of playing such wonderful football. Did so a couple of weeks ago when the teams met at Perth Oval. Glory won on that occasion by 1-0, but there wasn't much in it. Despotovski caught in possession once more, but wins it back again. This is Despotovski. Bobby Despotovski is foiled by Clint Bolton with a quite wonderful save. How important might that one be?
And Clint Bolton's used to this, isn't he? He's played in so many big games, won 2 grand finals, and he's going to be a key figure. And we see there by that save, what a wonderful, wonderful save by Clint Bolton.
Despotovski did so well to win the ball back in the first place, and he's been in such devastating form, but on this occasion couldn't find the net.
You would have put your house on it, wouldn't you, seeing Bobby Despotovski in a position like that?
Well, I think that was the moment that he would have been dreaming about this evening, although the final result wasn't quite the ending that he'd hoped for. The first real chance of the grand final. Fans again cheering glory, glory. There are some Sharks fans here, but not that many. But you'll hear them if they score. Troy Halpin just spreading the ball out to the far side. Andrew Packer. Nice flick by Miličić. Harris, Miličić once more, scored a glorious goal last year and very nearly repeated it.
If they're going to hang off in like that, they will get punished. I mean, he's lethal, as they saw last year from that distance, and that wasn't too far away.
Well, I think it's one of those that the more times you see it, the closer and closer it's going to get to goal. A couple of coats of paint off the top of the crossbar. Gumprecht, Hassell to Tarka. A few mistakes creeping into the play. Tarka last year played in the grand final. He was chosen ahead of Deans, who this year isn't available to the Glory as he's been injured for the whole season. And there's one sad story concerning the Glory. They lost the services during the season of Michael Garcia, who today is here watching the game on crutches after a very severe operation, which has cost him his career with the Glory. He's having to abandon his athletic career, and really the surgery was to make sure that he could walk again. So best wishes to him, and I'm sure that he'll be cheering on the Glory team, as indeed are the majority of this crowd, although we've had excitement at both ends of the field now. Miličić again, who went close for the Sharks. Porter with a turn. Now the break is a good one. Can he go in and set up? The end. There's enough cover.
His first touch let him down there. I think his first touch actually slow the ball and put it back.
Well, Harris is another of the players who's playing under a bit of an injury cloud. And perhaps he doesn't have the speed now to be able to take on a whole defence like that. Ishida will be the man who will take the corner for the Olympicsharks, who in the last 5 minutes or so have started to look a very good team again. On the goal line, Juric has come forward for the Sharks. It's North who flicks it forward, comes off the Glory player, so it'll be another corner. Yes, I think now you can see with the evidence of your own eyes whatever Lee Sterry was saying about his team representing no opportunity and no chances to win this final. But you can see them for what they're worth. Ishida again. Will he go for a deeper one this time? He does. Looking for Harris. Good shepherding work, and ensure that he didn't connect. And the Glory will allow the ball to go out for a goal kick. We're beyond the midway point of this first half. Still no goals, with the Sharks coming into the game more and more, although the Glory currently in possession through Tarka, who finds Hassell. David Tarka once more. Looks for a run forward, is not going to get one there. And beginning now to see the same sort of pattern emerging last year, where the Glory running out of a few ideas.
Yeah, that's exactly right, David. It's how the game went last year, and it seems to be that way again now. You see Olympic dropping off. They're getting bodies behind the ball. Perth have been looking dangerous when they do have the men, whether it's from the back or from the midfield, start to carry the ball forward, because then you're going to commit defenders, and that's when space will open up for the front men. Otherwise, they're going to be happy to sit back, Olympic, and just soak up the pressure.
And you can see how condensed the play is. I mean, we've got the benefit of the square used for yesterday's Dockers game to see that every single outfield player was condensed into that part of the field. Nobody wide at all. Packer looks up. Harris is the one that he's looking for. Not going to get there though, as Petkovic takes control once more. Deep long ball looking for Despotovski, who doesn't even bother to jump against Juric, and I don't blame him. Forward by Harnwell. Despotovski looking for one of his trademark flicks and trying to get the better of North, but this time it will be a free kick. You can see that Despotovski was biting at the legs there. Harnwell, who's been playing his best football of the season in the finals, but was hampered by the injury to his right ankle. Probably this is last game for Perth Glory before moving on. Haven't seen too much of Colosimo in the last 15 minutes of the game, but that was his pass out to Pryce. Comes to Juric. North to Halpin. Closed down by Gumprecht. Hassell now to Horsley. Has Glory come forward? Again, an overhit pass. Might have found Gumprecht or Despotovski.
It's that final pass, Dave, isn't it? They seem to be getting up there and having good position, but it's breaking down with a bad final ball.
Harris. Saw there was plenty of space out on the wing for Packer. Juric. Ishida. Now Halpin. Looking for the penetrating pass. Ishida's continued his run and found by Miličić, but Miller got in and also managed to get the deflection away off him.
Yeah, look, Scotty Miller's got Ishida's measure at the moment, I think, Dave. I think he might have been stung by a few of the comments after the last time they met, where Ishida absolutely took him to the cleaners. But he's doing very well today, and he's got his measure at this stage.
I also wonder how much of that is the fact that Ishida is not exactly 100% fit. Again, looking to spread the play with Hassell making the run in. But it was cut out by Pondeljak, who does such a wonderful job. Did a lovely engine. Gets to what a responsibility on his shoulders in this game, especially if Halpin is less than 100% fit. Miller with a throw. Mori with a clever turn, and they had to concede the corner this time. I swear Mori is just so tricky.
Yeah, look, he's lethal. Anywhere in that 18-yard box, I would say 20 yards, 25 yards out, he's a handful, and you've got to be tight on him, as Jade North was there. But you only need to give Damian Mori a half a chance, and he'll capitalise on it. 208 goals in his NSL career in 384 matches, and his record for the Glory is phenomenal. 60 goals in just 85 games. Well, that was certainly caught to my eyes, but not to the eyes of Mark Shield. But wasn't it interested in the corner kick? What was Colosimo doing? He's just rolled it a metre out of that circle. Do you think it was a planned one, or was it something gone wrong?
I've never actually seen them do anything like this before. And as you can see,
yeah, clearly was a corner, but yeah, I'd be interested to see that first one again.
One thing that would have worried, I think, the Glory this morning when they read their newspaper and saw all the pundits who are asked the question, who do you think are going to win the final this year? Every single pundit I saw went for Perth Glory. There are two teams in this final. As Gumprecht looks to try and get the better of Kohler, who, for a man who's supposed to have had severe back problems the last couple of days, seems to be remarkably fit.
Yeah, look, I'd be hoping to have a bad back like that myself if I could keep playing the way he's playing at the moment. He's not having any problems. Whether or not he'll last the game will be to see.
Well, that was the same face he pulled in training just the other day when he pulled up with his back problem. This time it was disappointment at giving away the corner. Colosimo, the man to take it. Tarka has come forward, as has Harnwell, who's attacking the ball now, and he puts the Glory into the lead. 30th minute, and Jamie Harnwell, who may be playing his last game for Perth Glory, has headed them into the lead.
What a wonderful strike. It was a great corner in from Colosimo. We'll see it in a minute, but it was a wonderful header. Typical centre half. Jamie Harnwell's come up and put it away very well.
Well, now the Sharks have got to take on the crowd as well. Great run by Harnwell. The perfect header. Nothing Bolton was going to do about it.
Hard to combat that. It's a great ball. And look here, he's made a run from about just outside the box and got onto it very well. Very hard to defend against that.
And he's only scored a couple of goals this season, Harnwell, until today. But I don't think he could score a more important one. He has scored, of course, in the final. He did so against Wollongong. Glory led at half-time by 3-0, and yet they still didn't win the grand final. They'll be conscious of that right now.
Yeah, this is when the game really starts, isn't it? We've got a goal now. Olympic do have to come out. They're going to be pushing forward. I think you're going to see a much more open game than what we've seen in the first 15-20 minutes.
No doubt about it. If the Sharks had scored, I think the Glory would have found it very difficult to break them down. But the onus is now on the Sharks. They have to come forward. Halpin is doing just that, but is being hassled by Horsley and now by Despotovski, who, of course, a former teammate of Halpin. He used to play for Perth Glory. He was in that defeat by Wollongong a few years ago. That'll be a free kick in a very central area. David Beckham would just love it.
Well, Troy Halpin must be handy on these set pieces as well, so interesting to see whether he lines it up or Joel Porter, because Joel can strike a ball from this distance as well.
Well, they say you're never more vulnerable than when you've just scored. The next couple of minutes afterwards is when you've got to watch yourselves. So Glory are warned. Halpin just walking into a position where he could take it if he wanted to. Porter with the left boot, perhaps. Jade North is there as well. It's Porter. Straight into the arms of Petkovic. That got almost as big a cheer as the goal. Colosimo. Pryce sending the ball forward. Halpin. Well, this is a time now for the Glory to impose themselves in this game, and certainly they can afford now to relax into their game. I don't mean relax as such, but certainly to start playing more comfortable football than they've perhaps played in the previous 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly, Dave. I think they can settle down now. They can actually try and not waste time, but settle down on the ball, stop trying to force that final pass, which is what they've been doing really in the first 30 minutes. They're in the box seat now, they're in the driving seat, and they should take advantage of that.
A Perth-based journalist just told me yesterday that he was looking back over the previous grand finals. He watched the first half of the Wollongong match and the first half of last year's final. He was quite happy because the Glory led after those two halves by 3-0. What happened in the second halves of those two games, of course, saw them lose both of those matches. Harnwell again might be fairly close to a yellow card to spoil the goal that he scored earlier, although I don't think anything's going to take the gloss of that. Another free kick though to the Sharks spells more danger and a chance for them to get back on level terms. Halpin to take it. North making a run in from the far side. It goes closer than that. Miličić didn't really get his header the way that he wanted to. A little bit too square on the front of the head rather than lancing it off.
Yeah, I think that's hit him right on the top of the head. Maybe his run was a little bit too early, but the delivery wasn't bad. Again, set pieces, very, very dangerous. Can decide games, as we've seen with this first goal.
Forward by Pryce. Just a little bit of a squaring up going on. Porter involved with Pryce. Damian Mori didn't get onto the score sheet as yet. It's one of the defenders who'll want to certainly change that situation as we see the little flare-up that took place. Handbags at 6 paces, I think it was. Halpin gives the ball away. Horsley back to Pryce. And now Gumprecht. We haven't seen the best of him so far in the final. Been caught a few times in possession, just like he was then by Porter.
Yeah, started the first 5-10 minutes, not too bad with making those forward runs, but as you say, he's slowed down a bit, and I think they'll be looking at him and Colosimo to start doing what they were doing initially.
Here's Halpin again. Kohler coming forward. Porter wasn't able to distribute it, and this now might break for Porter. He's got 2 up with him as he throws it across to Harris, but great defending work by Miller sends the ball off for a corner kick to the Olympicsharks. Miller got back really well then, but it really broke very kindly for Porter, and really the Glory were on the back foot then. Sharks had the numerical advantage. Ishida, who takes the corners, now to take the one from this near side. Sharks trailing by 1-0. It was from a corner the Glory scored. Away by Colosimo. Needs some movement. Juric is the man who provides it. First time cross wasn't really measured, and now the Glory can get the ball away. Gumprecht played the ball on, and he didn't really need to at that point. Perhaps didn't get a word from his colleagues that he had a bit of time on the ball. Halpin now. Closed down by Hassell. North. Cuts inside. He's got support now. Pondeljak. Still in possession. Goes down on the edge of the area, but there was never any possibility of a penalty there. It's Despotovski plays it inside to Colosimo. Being closed down quickly, but Mori makes the break down on the left side. Juric follows him. Just Gumprecht waiting to make the run into the area as Mori fights back to win possession. Juric comes away with it. Mori still fighting hard. And eventually the decision is a Perth Glory throw. That may have evened things up for the corner, which may have gone the other way earlier.
Yeah, a little bit of urgency coming into both these sides here. Tempers have been getting a little bit heated, but that's to be expected. I suppose it's grand final.
Despotovski, first time ball, looking for Hassell. The last touch came off the Sharks player, who did very well to actually keep the ball in and not concede the corner. Thumping challenge by Harris.
Leave it.
Working our way towards half-time. The Glory leading through Jamie Harnwell's goal in the 30th minute. No problems there for Kohler. Here's Ishida then for the Sharks. You've missed absolutely nothing with the score still the same. Tarka playing the ball into touch. You can see how the goal has just set the Sharks back a bit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's not a lot been in the game. It's obviously been a set piece, which is the goals come from, and most of the danger has come from set pieces. Otherwise, I think, Dave, as you said earlier, the trend of the game is pretty similar to what it was last year.
Halpin just gets the pass away to Juric. He said jokingly to everybody he might wear a bandage for this game just out of superstition, because he did so well with one last year. Halpin with the flick. Porter now. Bundled off the ball, but fairly by Horsley. Now Colosimo. Glory can break. Here's Gumprecht. He can be very lethal in this position if he's given time, which he is. Mori's in there. The ball is laid back, looking for the forward run by Hassell. He wasn't able to get to the ball. He was shepherded away. But I've seen Gumprecht put in some quite devastating crosses from that sort of position.
They'll be looking at him doing a lot more of that as well. You know, those runs forward. Every time he's gotten forward, he's caused problems for Olympic, and I'm sure they'll be hoping for more of that, especially in the second half.
There is a difference about this Glory team this year. They do have more options, especially on the bench as well, which they didn't have last year, and they've got players who are quite exciting in Mrdja and Cáceres, who they could also use at some stage. And that's going to be a yellow card shown to David Tarka, the young man being tested.
Well, I think you'll see the foul. It was an important foul by Tarka, because if he didn't make that foul, Harris was through. So I suppose if you're ever going to get a yellow card, we saw it there. Harris has got the ball first. You know, if you're going to say get a yellow card, that's a situation you'd be happy to take it.
So it will be a free kick then to the Sharks, which Halpin will take. Young David Tarka, 20 years of age. Born in WA, local product. Halpin sending it very deep and far too deep. We're about 3.5 minutes away from half-time, plus of course stoppage time, which will be added on. Important for Glory that they don't concede a goal in this time. They'll want to go in leading, but for the Sharks it would make a huge difference for them if they could get back on level terms before the break, as Gumprecht plays the ball on to Pryce, who leaves it to Horsley. Gumprecht continued his run. He was spotted by Juric, who was in exactly the right position. Packer sending the ball off. Glory getting players forward into that attack. Two waiting in the centre. One of them is Mori. Hassell is the other, as the ball is sent really high and deep. Now Miller to Despotovski, looking to turn. Hassell and Colosimo. Getting closer all the time.
As you said, Dave, getting bodies forward, getting players, you know, into the box, and it's always going to be a problem when you've got players there. You saw Colosimo have a strike then, but Perth are looking dangerous at the moment.
The emphasis is on the Sharks. Pondeljak bursts forward, being closed down now. He's got support though from Harris and also from Porter. And that was another magnificent save from another fine goalkeeper in Petkovic. He saw Bolton do it down the other end early on, and now he's returned the compliment. No break-up in the play though, as Horsley finds Gumprecht and continues his run. Mori's also there, as is Hassell now for the Glory, who's still in possession. Mori will look to turn. Despotovski's on the edge of the area. High kick, which will be penalised by the referee.
Well, great bit of play there. I mean, so quick we couldn't comment on it, but it was a lovely run by Tommy Pondeljak there, and great vision to slide the ball through for Joel Porter. I think we'll be disappointed he didn't do better there, but it's certainly livening up.
I still think that Porter may well hold the key to this game. He looked so sharp in training, and indeed in spells in this game has made some really excellent runs forward. And they do keep rotating him along with Harris and Miličić as to who the front runners are. They keep dropping back into midfield and changing places, which makes it very difficult for the defenders to pick up. Despotovski to Colosimo. Went close for the shot. He's had 2 in this game. Hasn't yet scored for the Glory since joining them. And the first time shot was just inches over. And that was what I meant by how dangerous Porter can be.
Yeah, a wonderful through ball again, and Joel Porter's causing problems at the moment. So that's 2 good chances in the last couple of minutes. It's a good ball by Tommy Pondeljak here, and Porter's made a great run. It was an important touch by Tarka again, which forced him a bit wider, but yeah, unfortunately he couldn't get that under, or dip it under the crossbar.
Taken with his right boot, and he is predominantly a left-sided player, so he did really well with that. So we're into the last 30 seconds of normal time, but there will be some stoppage time to add on as the Glory come forward. There'll be 3 minutes, in fact, as North gets the ball away, but the Glory are picking up the pieces now in midfield. Miller sends it forward, looking for Despotovski again. It's important for the Sharks they don't concede another before half-time, although, as we know in grand finals, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the game.
No, exactly right, and they've got 3 minutes, I think, of extra time, so in 3 minutes a lot can happen. So I think Perth will be quite happy to go in with a 1-0 lead, but they've just got to make sure they give nothing away in these final 4 minutes or so.
Well, in the last 6 meetings between these teams, just a single goal has separated the teams at the end of the day. Glory have got on the score sheet. They hold the advantage. Despotovski looking for the run from Horsley, who will run down that wing all day for you.
And the more he makes those runs, the more either Porter or Packer have to chase him back, and that basically takes a lot of the attacking steam out of those players as well.
Free kick to the Sharks inside their own area. There's just one man forward, that's Harris, and so that's easily cut out by Harnwell. Mark Shield gave themselves a few seconds to just think about that one before giving it. Pondeljak perhaps showing his frustrations as well.
Shields is doing a good job, isn't he? I mean, we've hardly noticed him in the first half here.
Well, I think the experience of being in the World Cup has helped him as a referee, certainly for the big occasions like this. Miličić playing it back. Halpin with the first-time ball on his left boot, and it's away by the captain, Despotovski. Anywhere would do in that situation. Out to the wing once more for the Sharks. Halpin once more, the playmaker for the team. Cuts inside cleverly, and then he's barged off the ball by Colosimo. Perhaps a little bit lucky to escape without a yellow card for that one.
The old hip and shoulder always works, doesn't it?
Two minutes of stoppage time already elapsed. This might be the last chance of this first half for the Sharks to get back on level terms. Ball is driven hard at the goal, but Gumprecht's covered. Certainly worth a crack from long range. Pondeljak, whose free kick it was, in possession once more, being a very influential player for the Sharks. And nominated as being one of the players of the season by the NSL. Damian Mori is also on that list. As Mark Shield brings the first half to the end, one punctuated by a goal for Perth Glory after 30 minutes from Jamie Harnwell. It might be the decisive goal of the NSL final. And at half-time, the scoreline reads, Perth Glory 1, the Olympicsharks 0.
The NSL Grand Final from Subiaco Oval, and at half-time it's the Perth Glory leading 1-0. It's been a very entertaining first half. Socceroos coach Frank Farina is with us. Frank, not much in it. The opportunity went the Glory's way.
Yeah, feeling of deja vu. from last year, but the only difference is we've got a goal. But yeah, look, Glory in the box seat at the moment, so let's see if they can go out in the second half and finish it off.
Who did you think settled better? There looked to be a few nerves from both teams, certainly, and in front of this big crowd, the Glory just a little shaky early.
Yeah, look, I thought the Glory started the better, but after about 10 minutes, Olympic came right back into the game. But the Glory finished the stronger, especially after the goal. But there was a couple of good chances for both sides.
These match stats will tell some of the story of the first 45 minutes. Obviously, the top line, the important one for Glory fans, 1-0, but a few other stories to be told there.
Yeah, shots on goal. You got the Sharks had 6 compared to the 4 from the Glory, but they'll be very happy with the top one there with 1-0. And look, as I said, it's been reasonably even. Very, very tough. There's a lot of good tackles going in.
We've talked about Bobby Despotovski and his goal-scoring prowess, 19 of them all. In all, you would have backed him one-on-one with Clint Bolton when he had this opportunity in the 18th minute.
Without doubt, he's done so well to win the ball back there, and I think, surprise of all surprises, he's found himself one-on-one. But unfortunately missed it.
Jamie Harnwell scored only 3 goals for the season, no better time.
He's made a sensational run from outside the box. The delivery from Simon Colosimo, wonderful. He's met this as most centre halves love to do in full flight. Got a good contact onto it.
Absolutely textbook stuff as we get another look at it. And then it goes.
Well, it had to be good to beat Clint Bolton because he is one of the best keepers, if not the best keeper in the land.
And some opportunities at the other end, of course, as well. Ante Miličić with a shot that was just wide. Those celebrations obviously fitting the goal. This one, interesting.
Yeah, it's a good little movement here. I mean, they were hanging off Ante Miličić here, and that's lethal. If you do that, he was a little bit unfortunate at that time, but they can't afford to stand off him like that all the time.
So 1-0, as we mentioned at half-time. Some interesting stats. Of the 17 teams to score first in grand finals, 12 have gone on to win the match. And of the 11 half-time leaders, 7 teams have stayed there at the end of full-time. But, of course, doesn't necessarily mean much. We know 4 years ago the Glory were leading 3-0 on this very venue.
Yeah, I can't see it staying the same. Look, Olympic may make a few changes coming out in the second half, but I can't see it staying 1-0, and I can actually see Olympic scoring.
What sort of substitutions do you think we might see, or changes to set up?
Well, I don't know if he'll make it just yet. The likes of Troy Halpin, it may run out of legs. It depends on how young Ishida's going, because he's not been in the game at all. So it'll be interesting to see whether Lee Sterry keeps him on. And
the crowd, do you think they've been a factor?
Not really. I think the crowd at the moment, there's not been a lot to get, apart from the goal, to really get behind, but they will definitely bring Perth glory. If Perth are going to win it, it's going to be on the back of the crowd.
Well, it's 1-0 the Glory's way at half-time. Don't go away. We've got the second half coming your way very shortly from Subiaco Oval, the NSL Grand Final, live on 7. Half-time at Subiaco Oval, and it's the Perth Glory leading in the NSL Grand Final of 2002-2003. 1-0. Jamie Harnwell, the goal scorer, and that coming in the 30th minute. It's given those people a lot to smile about. It's been mixed emotions here in Grand Final history here at Subiaco Oval for the Perth Glory, of course. 4 years ago against Wollongong, they led it 3-0 at half-time as they come back out. 3-0 at half-time, and that game eventually to penalties and Wollongong victors. 12 months ago, it was 0-0 at half-time, and the Olympicsharks scored very early in the second half, and that was the only score of the game. But it's 1-0 for 2002-2003. The Glory making their way back onto the pitch. The referee's not far behind them, and the Olympicsharks won't be too far away either. Let's go back to our expert commentator Frank Farina, and with him our match commentator David Smith for the second half.
Thank you, Basil. I suppose the question that the Olympic Sharks have got to ask is, when is the right time to start bringing on substitutions, and who are the players that you're going to think about to bring on? And obviously one of the players that might be in mind will be the young striker Franco Parisi, who's just 21 years of age, scored 6 goals in the regular season with 3 more in the finals, which is not a bad return for a young player. Frank, what would you be doing if you were Lee Sterry?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Lee's going to do, because Franco Parisi has a track record of coming off the bench and scoring goals, and they definitely need a goal. I don't know how long Lee will leave it, but I don't know whether Halpin will last the game, and young Ishida hasn't been doing exactly or setting the world on fire, so they may be areas he'll be looking at changing.
Another aspect to it is that there were players that we knew definitely had injuries. There were some that we thought might have injuries, and certainly those players, if they did have knocks, certainly wouldn't be able to last the full 90 minutes of this game, especially when you've also got to consider there's a possibility you could get back into this game and it might even end up being with extra time and penalties to follow. So it's a very difficult tactical thing for the coach to be able to work out. Another interesting thing is he's kept his team in the dressing room much longer than the opposition, and that's an old trick the coaches have done down the generations, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, you keep them in and, you know, come out and keep the other team waiting. But Mark Shields is an experienced referee. I don't think he'd let it go too much longer like that. But it will be interesting to see what happens. And as you said, some of these players that have brought injuries into the game, I suppose Lee would be thankful that they've come through okay. But I don't think they will last the 90 minutes, especially going back in at half-time and cooling down. It'll be interesting to see how they come back out in the second half.
Denied Despotovski with a really excellent save. And Petkovic at the other end also did very well to keep his team's lead. It'll be the Glory who get the second half underway. Mark Shield, of course, is our referee, and who represented Australia at the World Cup finals. Hopefully at the next World Cup finals we'll have the Australian national team there.
Well, I'll be certainly hoping so, and I think everyone else in Australia.
The Glory then leading by 1-0. 40,000 people at Subiaco, the majority supporting the Glory as the second half does get underway, with Pryce looking for Horsley. I think Porter's done quite a good job down this near side. As the ball is sent into Andrew Packer, previously at Brisbane and also at Carlton. Gumprecht back to Horsley, the former Wollongong player. Knows what it's like to be a winner. Knows what it's like to be a man of the match in a grand final. Colosimo now. Mori back to Despotovski. The shot deflected away to Horsley. Mori will try and get there. He won't succeed. And the Sharks with an early scare getting the ball downfield.
Well, that's a perfect start that Perth would have wanted to get right back into where virtually they left off. And I'll tell you, if that didn't hit the defender, that would have caused all problems for Clint Bolton.
Halpin stopped by Colosimo. Despotovski has come deep and is looking for Murray's run, and he's most certainly onside, although Juric tried to play him offside. North was the deepest man, and Murray is still going strong, although having just shut the defender. And you can hear what the crowd thought about that decision.
Well, they can't be too upset. It was clearly a foul, and I'm sure Dane's
Porter playing it inside. Looks for the return pass from Miličić, who had the opportunity at one stage of coming to Perth Glory. It was about 4 years ago, and he opted not to. But I think when you look at the crowds that the Glory have been attracting and the way the team is going, there are quite a few players in bracket playing for the Glory.
Without doubt, I mean, to play in front of big crowds week in, week out, and looking at always making the finals. Yeah, I think a lot of players would love to come to the Glory.
We had the toss-up earlier today with Stan Nazaridis, who's now playing his football in the Premier League for Birmingham City. Just signed a new 2-year contract. He's a local boy, and he certainly said that once his time in Europe is over, he would love to finish off his career playing for his hometown club, Perth Glory. A lot can happen, though, between now and then. His next aim, of course, is playing in those World Cup finals as Colosimo finds Horsley, and now it's Gumprecht on the ball. Despotovski takes over on the edge of the area, lays it back to Hassell. He likes to have a crack from long range and has scored some quite spectacular goals this season. Had a spell of 6 goals in the early stages of the season, and the goals sort of dried up a little bit, but then scored against Adelaide home and away, his former club. Ishida, who we haven't seen too much of, is being closed down by Miller, who's doing exactly the same job of him now. Gets it through to Despotovski, who's coming more into the game. Miller's continued his run. Juric is coming across to try and stop him, and does he bring him down? The referee not convinced.
That was a good call from the referee. I think much of it. You know, you could argue he might call it on the there. What do I know?
Talking about slow motion replays, it also looks when you get to the speed.
Yeah, I think Scotty Miller was never going to get that ball again. Take into it.
Mori's header sending it back to Bolton, who didn't have a teammate of Frank Farina or Brisbane. Played 178 games for Brisbane. Now played 272 games in the NSL. We'll be hoping for a good season next season, because if he plays every game next season, including a grand final, he'd reach the 300 mark. And he is phenomenal. He plays every single game. He doesn't ever seem to have an injury. Hasn't missed a game in 3 years, Clint Bolton.
No, wonderful goalkeeper. You know, as we said earlier, 1-2, and arguably man of the match in the game in Brisbane, but didn't actually receive it. But yeah, very good keeper.
Ball comes to Andrew Packer. Looks up. Sees Porter in support. Goes for the short ball, and now looking once more at the options, and there weren't too many of them. I think that was more of a cross than a shot. Either way, it ended up with this.
Olympic definitely needs something at the moment. Perth have started this second half very, very well, and they're dominating at the moment. Olympic don't seem to have any spark at this stage, but I'm sure that Lee almost will be looking at making some changes to just try and force something or create something.
Of course, if they do end up losing this game, he'll say, well, I did tell you. I did tell you that we weren't the favourites to win this game.
Yeah, it could backfire, couldn't it? But a long way to go just yet.
Very long way to go. As the great Bill Shankly once said when he was at Liverpool, it only takes a second to score. Troy Halpin. Pondeljak turns inside. He was being closed down. Miličić to Pondeljak once more. This time it was the Sharks' final ball that let them down. Interesting that Petkovic is taking his time, which we didn't see in the first half, where it was helter-skelter, 100-mile-an-hour football. Nobody really taking their time, but the Glory can afford to at the moment.
Well, every second that ticks by, they're closer to the trophy, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of it. And unless Olympic can actually do something and get a goal back.
Well, it's another saying in football: while you're in possession, the other team can't score. Halpin, it was in fact Hassell to Pryce. Now Horsley looking for the return pass to Pryce. He does get into good advanced positions, but is now caught out and is well out of position. But comes back in Miličić, bundles him over and gives away the free kick. All the emphasis now on the Sharks, having to answer the same sort of questions as the Glory had to answer last year. Despotovski has got Horsley. Here is Matt Horsley. Just needed a touch. Damian Mori just inches away. But as it is, they're still very much in this game. Ishida. Horsley might have scored. Mori almost did. But there's nothing on the scoreboard other than the one goal from the Glory in the first half as Packer tries an ambitious shot. Quick release this time. Hassell is in space. The Glory getting numbers forward again. They've pushed Horsley in a slightly more advanced position now.
I think we're going to see the game really open up here, because Olympic are going to send men forward, push bodies forward, and there's going to be the chance on the counter-attack for Perth Glory. So, with time running out, still a long way to go, as we said earlier, but with time running out, we're going to see, I think, a lot more action.
That was a lovely move by Halpin. He finds Pondeljak, but Harnwell intervenes. The goal scorer does well. Well, certainly for the neutral fans, it was a good thing that it was the Glory who scored. I don't think they're capable of holding on to a lead. I think they always have to attack. They're certainly a very good counter-attacking team. Whereas with the Sharks, the way they're made up, the sort of players they have, you feel that they always can sit on a lead. That's going to be surely a free kick. The referee says advantage. Packer plays it forward. There's no real advantage there for the Sharks as Miller gets the ball back to Petkovic. Pondeljak just pointing out to the referee where on the leg the foot actually collided with him. Well, Hassell eased the opponent out of the way. The referee quite happy to allow a bit of physical contact. Miličić looking to turn. A bit isolated at the moment, having to do it all himself. Porter with a flick to Halpin. Colosimo intervenes and now will burst forward. He's got the whole length of the Sharks half to negotiate, and in fact couldn't get past Juric, who now breaks forward for the Sharks. Now to Ishida. They're getting players forward this time. No way through. Hassell does well, and it's Despotovski now who picks up possession for the Glory. They'll love to play on the counter-attack. Here's Mori. Horsley is coming forward to support him. Mori doesn't pass very often. In fact, during the week, somebody asked him the question of how his young lad was doing in the junior leagues. He said, oh, he's scoring more goals than me. And somebody said, does he pass the ball? Colosimo. Terrific interception. Despotovski wanted it on the far side, but Horsley shows his experience and just says, no, we'll just play a little bit more patient build-up. Pryce. To Hassell, who's seen more of the ball in the second half. To Miller. That's where Miller's so good. Now Horsley. I think Horsley's goal tends to be when he's in the 6-yard box, not from such long range.
I think you might not be wrong there, Dave. I mean, Matty's making some great runs. It was a bit unfortunate Dame laying in just a little bit earlier there, but Olympic are flat. They don't seem to have any ideas at the moment, and Perth are continuing to catch them on that counter attack. They've got two good attacking players on the bench in Parisi and Owens, and I'm pretty sure the league's going to be looking at bringing them on sooner rather than later.
Ishida. Flick forward by Juric for Halpin, who's being followed by Gumprecht. Just left the leading leg in, led to the free kick. No sign of anybody warming up as yet on the Sharks bench. Halpin might be one of the players that they're thinking that they're going to have to substitute, because I don't think they imagined he was going to last 90 minutes in a sapping final. And it is the emotion of the occasion which gets to players. Tarka launches the ball forward. Despotovski almost reached it. Now Gumprecht. That's good play by the German. Now Pryce. Goes deep. Hassell will keep possession for the Glory. Does well for the Glory, sends it in. Juric only half away. Miller tries to get in, and now Halpin can release Ishida. Haven't really seen him taking on too many players, and I have to feel that that's more to do with the injury than his ability.
Yeah, he's had a very quiet game today. I mean, he's not troubled Scotty Miller at all, and Scotty's done a good job, to be fair to Scott, especially as we mentioned in the first half after the last time they played.
Harnwell's header. Porter got away with that one. Colosimo being closed down, didn't seem to get a warning, but didn't need it, it seemed, as he's dragged back by Porter. And he's going to receive a yellow card. Joins David Tarka in the book. Just grabbed it at the arm and tugged Colosimo back. Don't think you can complain about that.
No, not at all. But you know, Simon Colosimo started the second half very well. He's been really influential in the midfield there, along with Gumprecht, and he's made a huge difference. And I think it's not only today, but most of the season, especially the finals.
Enjoying the club having been out of action for a while, needed a bit of time to settle back in. His first 4 appearances as a substitute, but once he made the starting lineup, he was never out of it. Started the first finals game and really transformed the team in midfield. Tarka looked for the run of Despotovski, but slightly overhit the pass. Well, the first substitution is actually not going to come from the Olympicsharks, but actually from Perth Glory. Mark Byrnes is a player who's waiting to come on. And that, I would imagine, would be for Jamie Harnwell, who's been struggling this last week with an injury, but we'll find out about that in a minute. As the ball is launched forward for Mori. Packer did well. He had Horsley coming in behind him. Ambitious ball diagonal, which Pryce could afford to leave, although he did make a very bold attempt to try and get there. So here is the substitution. Mark Byrnes is the man who's going to come on, and in fact it's Bradley Hassell who's actually coming off. So that's a player who's predominantly a defensive player replacing a midfielder, although Byrnes has played in midfield this season for the Glory, and of course Byrnes is a former Olympicsharks player.
That's right. It's unless Mich is looking at trying to block up that midfield and putting a defensive player in there, because Mark Byrnes, to be fair to Mark, he's not really the most attacking player you'll get. So it's an interesting change.
He has scored for the Glory. He did so coming on as a substitute against Newcastle. Mori's done brilliantly against North. Here's Damian Mori. He went for the near side, and every goalkeeper in the world would always hope to have that area covered.
Well, Bobby Despotovski's asking, why didn't you pass it to me? But knowing Damian Mori, how many goals he's scored, he was never going to pass that ball. I mean, he's done superb here.
Well, he's done marvellously to dispossess North, and then from that position Despotovski did say, quite rightly, what about me?
There was absolutely no chance of him getting that ball from Damian Mori. And look, if it goes in, you know, everyone's happy. But yeah, maybe the wrong decision.
Well, it's from this sort of situation that Byrnes actually scored his 1 goal for the Glory from a set piece. Colosimo sent it in. Bobbles around awkwardly and is still not away as Byrnes does get his head to the ball. He'll have a second opportunity. And Byrnes again, but the whistle is gone. Now that would have been quite an introduction.
Well, I think you almost scored it for him there, Dave. No, he was looking dangerous for a little bit.
Well, sometimes coaches make decisions which you look back on and you say, now that was the cleverest decision you've ever seen. Sometimes they're bold, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they work. And I just wonder about putting on a player like Byrnes so early in the game, rather than an attacking player like Cáceres, who would have taken the game very much to the Sharks, as Packer sent it in. Does it send out the wrong signal? Does it say we're happy with this lead, we're going to try and hold on to it?
Yeah, look, I think it's obviously something that they've discussed and maybe done before, but I don't see a big problem with it, because he's maybe got the brief that he has to push forward. But and you know, I suppose only time will tell. People will criticise you if you get it wrong, and if you get it right.
Mori, Despotovski. It's about that area of the field where you can be sure you will get a pass from Mori, but as soon as it gets into the penalty area, different proposition as Byrnes wins the ball back. Now Gumprecht. Sharks at times looking a little bit ropey in defence as Miller wins it back for the Glory. Whistler gone.
It was a great ball from Byrnes there. So what do we two know about putting Mark Byrnes on the left-hand side of midfield? He started very well, actually.
Yes, it was a bit of a high kick, which is why the whistle went. Horsley to Pryce. Colosimo. Unlike most of his work, that one wasn't particularly a measured pass. Porter. Sharks now trying to build. Miličić will battle hard for it again. Pondeljak will as well, but it's a way upfield for the Glory as Colosimo looks for the quick time release to Mori. Defender was always favourite to get to that ball first as Juric now comes away for the Sharks. Last year he was a winner. At the moment they're going the Sharks' way. It's not worried about coming forward. There's plenty of cover for him in defence as Ishida looks around. Glory have got everybody but Mori back. Halpin. Miličić. Flick forward by the Sharks once more, but now it's 3 against 2. The Glory on the counter-attack. Gumprecht has got Mori on the far side. In the end, the covering work was done by North.
That's going to be the danger all the time now. It's Perth Glory catching him on the counter when Olympic have got so many bodies forward in that attacking half. And 3 against 2 then, a bit unfortunate. Bobby could have gone either way. I almost really would have fancied Damian Mori, but maybe he said, you didn't pass me last time, so I'm not going to pass to you.
Just a glimpse of Lee Sterry on the bench there, looking a little bit nervous, a bit worried. We're coming to the point of the game and he'll start thinking about making a few changes. Colosimo with the corner for the Glory. Clear header on the far side. Overhit. Ball in the Sharks' half. After Jamie Harnwell had yet another header inside the penalty area. Referee says advantage, and there is one if they can both side. Here's Byrnes. Inside to Despotovski now for the Glory. Closed down by 3 Sharks players. Miller comes in hard, and Bolton will collect that for the Sharks.
25 minutes to go. Olympic really have to do something because they're not looking dangerous at all in the final third of the park, and they've got to try and do something.
And the problem they've always got, every single time they do push an extra man forward, as they did a few minutes ago with Juric, they leave gaps at the back which the Glory can exploit. And
Olympic have to do it. They've got to go 4 minutes to go, so they're going to have to take chances, which they are doing, but unfortunately it keeps breaking down around 20-25 yards from goal. Troy Halpin seems to have been struggling for the last, even since the beginning of the second half.
Well, I think that's something which you were suggesting during the half-time. Injuries tend to seize up even more, and it's difficult to get the same mobility back into the second half they had in the first.
That's right, and as we did mention earlier, they've got 2 good attacking players, and they need to do something. And the time is running out, and you have to be able to try and force something.
Here's Ishida, that's a good turn, but stopped again by Miller. Ball not totally away. But there are players in this second half that you've hardly seen from the Sharks. You haven't seen Harris, you've hardly seen Miličić, and that's just a sign of how much control Glory have got on the game.
Exactly right, and you're not putting, we're not putting any of the players down or anything, but it's just not happening. Young Ishida's pretty much had the same second half as he had the first, which is very quiet, and it's as we've said, you've got to try and do something.
Well, the Sharks finding it eating as Glory found it last year after they'd gone a goal down. Cáceres in shot there with Mrdja just behind him. Attacking players that at the moment the Glory don't need. Not the best free kick, but it actually tended to work out quite nicely for them because Mori almost got in there. Pondeljak to Halpin. Ishida making the run down the wing. Miličić to Porter, just on the edge of the area. This is looking better for the Sharks as he flicks the ball in. Didn't quite go where he wanted. Just about 20 minutes of normal time remaining. The Glory leading 1-0 as they've done from the 30th minute. Jamie Harnwell scoring. Sharks trying to inch their way back into the game. They've found it difficult in the second half as Halpin bursts forward. Again, he's stopped, this time by Horsley. Colosimo finds Mori, who shields the ball quite brilliantly. Eventually he does lose out. No free kick as the Sharks come forward. Porter making the run forward. Appeals that he used his hand, but Harnwell has to get on with the game. Miličić. Juric coming forward. Ishida takes the ball instead. Now Pondeljak. Now Miličić. Can he get a shot in? Here's Miličić, the scorer last year. Oh, excellent defending by Pryce. And it looks like he's got a bit of a problem here, Pryce. May have just cramped up a little bit as he stretched for that. But he did well to get between the striker and the goal.
No, he did very well. Ante Miličić is having a good game, I think. He's giving it everything he's got. Made a great run there, and Pryce did exceptionally well to get a foot in before, or to shield the ball anyway for Petkovic.
Porter. Miličić. Lovely back heel to Halpin, who's stopped by Colosimo, who is a colossus in that midfield at the moment. And again. And you always hope in grand finals that the best players can show their true form. I think Colosimo is beginning to show that. Miličić certainly has. Forward by Harris this time to Porter. Now to Miličić. He has to hold the ball up though. No real support for him. Unless he's got the skill to go all the way himself. Might just fancy it. Ishida now making the run. Ishida might be in here. Lovely measured pass. And eventually it goes off for the corner. Glory were down to 10 men briefly then as Pryce received treatment. He is now back in the action, but not looking 100% as Halpin sent it across too deep. He hasn't really had the measure of his crosses today though.
No, Troy has been struggling in the second half. Yeah, look, the final ball let him down again there. It looks as though Lee Sterry is looking at making a change at the moment.
Well, it's Owens who would be a replacement for Halpin. He was just being readied on the sidelines.
Yeah, either Halpin or Harris, I'd imagine.
Well, there are a few candidates out there, players who are struggling. Tarka to Juric. Kohler coming forward. Now it might just break here for Pondeljak, but he's stopped by Colosimo. Gumprecht gets in the way. Still the Sharks coming forward. Here's Halpin on the edge of the area. Goes down. No penalty. Gumprecht takes over. Now Colosimo. The Glory looking to break as Mori has two defenders to beat. Here's Mori. Claims that he was dragged down. The referee says, I think there was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's really opening up now as Porter takes over. Halpin flicks on to Miličić. Halpin once more. Gets the referee out of the way. Now Miličić. Went close with one shot in the first half, but hasn't really had too much of a sight of goal. And still the Sharks waiting to make their substitution. The ball hasn't gone out of play. There is the man who's about to come on, Greg Owens, a midfielder who is signed from Newcastle Breakers. He scored against Perth last season in a 1-1 draw as the ball is sent forward. Halpin. Lovely back heel to Pondeljak. Tried to continue the run, but it was stopped by Gumprecht. Now Mori. Just about 15 minutes to go. The Sharks still trailing 1-0. Grand finals tend to be tight affairs. Not too many goals. This is really following the pattern. Cut out by Harnwell, who's done well with that injury today.
He's done exceptionally well, but Perth are doing to Olympic what Olympic did to Perth last year. They're frustrating them. They're basically saying, come on, come at us and see what you can create. But like Perth last year, they're not doing too much.
Despotovski wins the ball back, looks for Mori. Away by North, it might come to Horsley, might still come to Mori. Bolton collects.
Ball still hasn't gone out yet. They still can't make this up.
Player may as well just sit back on the bench, put his tracksuit on and just wait. Here might be the opportunity.
They must have heard us talking.
Well, the man who's coming off is Harris. As we see again the effort at the other end. Bolton collecting the ball out of the air. He's not the tallest goalkeeper in the world, but had enough height there. Harris, who has been struggling with an injury now for weeks, indeed for most of the season, comes off the man that you effectively brought out of retirement.
That's right, Jeromy came up from Marconi, was playing with Bean Lee, I think, and we got him out at the strikers, and he's done exceptionally well. He's got two championship medals at the moment, and hoping for a third today.
Well, the man who's come on, Greg Owens, is a player who likes to get forward and is a very good friend of the glorious Mark Byrnes, who himself has come on as a substitute in this game. Colosimo finds a good ball forward to Gumprecht. That's clever play to Horsley. Despotovski lets the ball run on to Byrnes, and Bolton collects. Just had too much pace on it, I think, for Despotovski to collect it, and they did have that man extra, which is why they let the ball go. Owens to Porter. Away by Pryce. Comes to Packer. Pryce made sure that there was no further advancement from Owens. Halpin. Glory defence has been strong, as it has been for much of this season. People talk about the attacking talent that the Glory have, and they do have the two most lethal strikers in the business in Australian football, in the domestic game at least. But the defence this year has been supreme. Mich, for once, down on the bench. Normally he likes to stay in the box and watch affairs from above and direct team affairs through Alan Vest via a mobile phone. Perhaps the connection wasn't too good today. But he does say he gets over emotional down on the bench and doesn't like sitting there. In fact, as I can see him now, he is gesticulating and waving. He might well be right on that. Simon Colosimo has had a big impact on this game. Mich will be thrilled that his team appear to be doing the business, and players like Colosimo, who he brought in, have really begun to shine, just as the sun beats down now on Subiaco. Ishida. Pondeljak. Glory have just brought all their players back and saying, you want to work a way through, then you're going to have to do it the hard way. Juric. Can they find the angles to get beyond the Glory defence? Ishida again, being hassled and harried.
Well, it looks as though Lee Sterry is looking at making another 2 changes. There's only 10 minutes to go, and this big crowd, which has been officially announced at 38,711, are going to try and cheer the glory home. But if anyone can maybe come off the bench and snatch a goal, it's this young Franco Parisi, who's done it, I think, as you mentioned, Dave, 6 or 7 times already earlier this season.
Well, Porter is one of the players who comes off. So that's a straight replacement of one striker for another. Parisi, who in the regular season scored 6 goals as a substitute in regular season and 3 more in the finals. And Kohler is the other player who's coming off, another one who is under an injury doubt, which means that Halpin stays on the field for the remainder of the game, which could be some considerable time, because although there's only just about 9 minutes of normal time left, should the Sharks score, we could still have extra time. The other player who came on was Wayne Srhoj, who was perhaps a little bit unlucky not to be in the starting lineup. That's going to be a free kick given away by Owens. And the atmosphere really building. And part of the reason is we've got an uninvited guest. As far as football matters are concerned, the Glory have got themselves a free kick. Fourth official just making sure that there weren't too many words being given to the players outside of the official area for directions from the coach. Colosimo will take the free kick. A huge atmosphere in the stadium now as we wind down. Referee just having to hold up play just for a few seconds while extra affairs outside of the playing area are handled. Colosimo sends it in. Gumprecht now. Here's Gumprecht. Colosimo sends it out to the wing, but although the Glory have lost possession, they have indeed used up far more time. There will be quite a bit of time now to add on at the end of this second half. That will be cut out by the Glory. Horsley, who's got so much pace. This time, his run was brought to a halt. Pondeljak shows some nice moves to get inside of Gumprecht before winning the free kick.
One thing's for certain, Olympic won't stop trying. They'll go right to the 90 minutes trying to force a goal. They haven't had too much luck in terms of opportunities thus far in the second half, but as I said, they'll keep going for the full 90 minutes.
Here's the young striker Parisi, very highly thought of by many people. I was going to mention before all the excitement that I'll tell you more about that later. Still the Glory leading 1-0. Yes, I was just about to mention that Wayne Srhoj is a player that you actually gave his debut to at the age of 15, which sounds to me absolutely phenomenal. As Horsley comes forward, play just breaking down in the area, and it's Srhoj who is on the ball.
Yeah, well, Wayne showed so much talent at the age of 15. He was quite a big lad, and we had him along twice at training. He did exceptionally well and made his debut against Marconi back in '97 and actually won man of the match in that game, I think. And has gone on to obviously bigger and better things.
Very good for a young player at that age to have the mental ability as well as the physical ability. The shot was tried by Owens, and at this stage of the game you can't blame him for trying it, because there have been very few shots on that Perth Glory goal in the second half.
Well, I think that may be the first one, Dave. That's the first natural save I think Petkovic would have had to make in the second half, so they've really struggled 18 to 20 yards away from goal. But you've got to give credit to Perth, who have defended very, very well, and made it very hard for Olympic to try and break them down.
Juric for the Sharks. 5 minutes and counting down, plus stoppages. Can the Sharks get back on level terms? And they find a way through to win consecutive grand finals. There's Miličić, now 28 years of age, scored against the Glory in 4 of his 6 previous games while playing for the Sharks, and has also scored against them as a Sydney United player as well.
What he would give for one of those goals today.
Mori scored in the last 2 games against the Sharks, not on this occasion as yet. Oh, that's a brilliant run by Miller. Here is Mori! The grand final is surely now won by Perth Glory. Damian Mori makes it 3 in 3 matches against the Sharks. It's not the classiest goal he'll ever score, but it's the one he'll remember most. A player who's been in so many grand finals, only won one previously. Apart from that, so many heartbreaks. Well, Miller made a bursting run. There was so much luck attributed to the goal, but they'll take it. Not the cleanest hit, but he found the net, and that's what he's been doing throughout his career.
Wonderful goal, a fantastic run by Scotty Miller, as we see it again. And Damian Mori, who would begrudge Damian a goal? I think it's his sixth final, and who would begrudge Perth Glory a win? I think that's the final nail in the coffin, and there's going to be some very, very big celebrations.
Glory, just to tie things down further, are taking off Despotovski. Edgar Jr., the man who we thought was going to completely miss the final through injury, had microsurgery on his knee a few weeks back, comes out for the last few minutes, is a holding player, and Perth Glory's intent is there for all to see. What we have, we hold. Sharks now with a huge mountain to climb.
Mountain, I think it's Everest. We've got, I think, about 3 or 4 minutes to go, possibly with injury time. I cannot see them coming back from here, not a chance.
Well, they've been called chokers in the past, although that was perhaps a little bit harsh. There was certainly one game where that perhaps could be applied to them. And they lost against Wollongong when they were 3 goals up at half-time. Wollongong came back to make it 3-3, eventually went to penalties. Last year, well, the Sharks just came here with a much better plan and with a very talented team. They executed their plan to perfection. They cut Mori and Despotovski out of the play. Glory had no answers. This year, they've got it right.
Exactly. I think this is a better Perth Glory side, more balanced, if you like, than the one that played last year, especially in the midfield with the likes of Colosimo and Gumprecht. That's been the key to their success, I think. I think Simon Colosimo's had a wonderful game today, but just a more balanced side. You know, scored the first goal, which is always great in the grand final, but they've thoroughly deserved, and as I said earlier, you can't begrudge Perth Glory and their owner Nik Mrdja their first title.
Well, the Perth wave is now going around Subiaco as the celebrations start early. A 2-goal lead as we go into the last minute of the game, plus stoppage time to come. And it's got to be good for soccer when a team like Perth Glory, which is a well-supported club and a well-run club, finally achieves success. And perhaps other clubs around the country can follow the model of Perth Glory and make soccer a vibrant sport in the country, as we see the trophy that the Glory will hope to be handed in a few minutes' time.
Well, the Glory are definitely the benchmark for club sides in Australia, without any doubt. The model that they put in place 6 or 7 years ago.
Wait for this cheer. One of the heroes of the game makes his way off the field, having done his work for the day. Damian Mori does what he does. He scores goals, and he's got one today. Huge hug with Bobby Despotovski. They're huge mates off the field. And they've both played their bit in bringing Perth Glory their first NSL title.
Certainly Perth have got it right today. They've played exceptionally well all throughout the team, not only in defence, I think in the midfield and up front. So, you know, they've already deserved the 2-0 lead at the moment. There's 4 minutes to go of extra time, so 4 minutes to go before they can start celebrating.
Well, I think the fans have already started.
And I think they'll continue for a long, long time.
Horsley inside, Colosimo. There is still a match going on. Horsley again. Colosimo, how right it should be that he should be involved with the action as we go into the final minutes of the game. He has been the final ingredient, I think.
And Dave, if you had to pick a man of the match, who would it be for you?
As a commentator, thankfully that's a question that I get to ask you.
I thought I'd get in a little bit early, but no, listen, sincerely for me, Simon Colosimo has been the outstanding player in this game today. Quietly going about his business, but been very solid and completely dominated that middle of the park.
That's what he does. That has been the way that Colosimo has performed week in, week out in this final series for the Glory. It's the difference that he's made. And he was the difference being pointed up throughout the week along with Gumprecht as the reasons why this was a better Glory side than last year, as Horsley takes the ball on. And what about Horsley, who will have his third winner's medal in 4 years?
And deservedly so. Matty's had a great game as well on this right-hand side. You can't really pick a bad player for the Glory, but it's fitting to Matt Horsley, who's had such a long career, you know, getting another medal. I'm very happy for him.
Nik Mrdja gets his chance. He was also struggling with injuries as the week built up. There was a thought he might miss out today, but he's been another important factor. There was a time when Despotovski wasn't scoring goals, dropped out of the team for a few weeks, and Mrdja came in and did his task well. A minute and a half before the anticipated whistle. As Glory have another free kick, Colosimo will take it, and of course the Glory just using up the time. Mrdja turns his man and will just hold onto the ball, at least for as long as he can, and then Halpin loses out to Colosimo. There might be a third here, but the Glory this time were rebuffed. Byrnes it was who was in there, the unlikely goal scorer perhaps. Gumprecht should win this for the Glory, which he does. Now Mrdja, the 1-2 with Gumprecht. The German might be leaving soon. He'd have enjoyed his one season with the Glory if that turns out to be the case. Clock winds down even further, and a word for the Sharks, who talked about being underdogs beforehand. Well, they've still had a tremendous season. They were the premiers at the end of the regular season, and they've got into another grand final. And they too can be proud of themselves because they're a fine footballing team as well, although on the day it just hasn't gone for them.
No, that's right. They've had a wonderful season. Unfortunately, in the finals playoffs, they most probably haven't had the best form that they would have liked to. But yeah, look, they've had a good year as well.
We're about to hear the biggest cheer that you've heard for a while. Perth Glory are the NSL champions. Glory is as Glory does. And for Perth Glory, it is the most glorious moment of their short history as they become the national champions. Harnwell and Mori were the 2 goal scorers, but they've got a whole team full of heroes and plenty of fans who are enjoying this particular moment. Final score in the NSL Grand Final, victory to Perth Glory by 2-0.
Yeah, wonderful scenes both in the crowd and on the field. Players like Scotty Miller, Dave, you've got to feel happy for them. I mean, you know, been here from the beginning and winning today.
Fantastic moments. Let's go down to the pitch and join Robbie Dunn.
Damian Mori got a goal in the final. How's it feel today?
Oh, it was hard. I think the boys deserved it. We played well all year. We probably got robbed of the major championship now. We won it, but it's fantastic.
Is it a big relief as well to finally win one?
I think for everybody, for the club, for the fans, I think the monkey's off our back and the chokers, tags, God now.
Good on you, son. Well, look, all the best. Enjoy the celebration.
Thanks very much.
We're here with Jamie Harnwell. Jamie, first goal, Perth boy. Fantastic. How are you feeling?
Oh, top of the world, you know. This is my last game, and what a game to go out on.
Mate, it was a great header. Did you know you were going to score it?
Oh, I was hoping to. The odds were pretty good on me, so yeah, I think the old man had a bet, so I'm happy with that.
Fantastic. Well played today, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, great job done by Robbie Dunn getting in there and amongst it. The Glory are champions for 2002-2003. They joined the competition back in 1996, 1997. They've been runners-up twice, of course, last year and back in 1999-2000. But this, a great moment for them. Disappointment, obviously, for the Olympicsharks. Champions last year. They came here and stole the title from the Perth Glory. But 12 months later, no disappointment for the Perth Glory at a third try at the championship. Viewers around Australia and through New Zealand on Sky Channel will be leaving us now. We trust you've enjoyed our company. Perth Glory champions for